Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Meet the Faculty series. Tonight, we're featuring our Master of Business Administration, and we have some faculty members and some students here to speak with you. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the unceded territory of the Snuneymuxw people, and it's our privilege to live, laugh, work, and learn here. Thank you. And next slide, please. So a little bit of housekeeping. We have a really simple interface here for the webinar tonight. If you do have any questions, you can enter them into the Q&A area, and we'll get to all of your questions before the end of our presentation here today. And I'd like to introduce our faculty members. We have Dr. Stacy Chappell, Associate Dean at the Graduate Programs Office. Stacy, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
And Golfer Akori, Graduate Programs Advisor in the Graduate Programs Office.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Golfer. My name's Leanne Spasnik. I'm the Manager of International Communication and Recruitment. We also have student panelists who will be joining us here tonight, and they'll introduce themselves a little bit later. And so we'll get things started with about a 15-minute presentation before we move into the student panel discussion and then the Q&A. At any point in this time, you're very welcome to enter questions into the chat box, and we will get to them after the presentation and student panel. Stacy or Golfer, would you like to start with the presentation?
Thanks, Leanne. So it's a pleasure to speak with you tonight about our flagship program, the Master of Business Administration. And the MBA at VIU is really special because it's been redesigned, reimagined over the last few years. We spent a lot of time working with faculty to design a program that really reflects the integrated nature of management through a series of intense integrated modules that build on each other over the course of the entire program. And we really have emphasized engaging students and building experiential learning into the program. So we're excited to share a little bit of the details around that program with you tonight. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Stacy. So the MBA program, it runs over 20 months, and it's a cohort-based program. So what that means is you're going to start the program with the same group of students all through the program. You're taking the same classes, the same courses, and you guys are going to finish together. So the program has been redesigned, and the way it is, you're going to start with like 2 foundational pieces, and that's to better prepare you to be successful to graduate level studies. And the good thing about the program is at the end of the 20 months, you're going to have a four months internship. And with the internship, you'll be opportune to work with an industry mentor, and as well as an ABP supervisor. So there's something called the Applied Business Project. So that's something you're going to do as well during your internship. So we're going to assign you to a faculty supervisor here at VIU that would supervise you all through the project. So the good thing about the ABP is that you're going to identify like a business problem, a management issue, where you're going to apply all of your skills and knowledge learned all through the program. And that would help you to provide like recommendations to the company. And that's a good way to market yourself, especially as an international student. What value are you bringing to the organization? What can you recommend? So that's going to be a good learning for you to apply all that you've learned. And that will be a great experience. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Golfer. So this is a picture that gives you a helicopter view of the program. It's really spread over 20 months, but for all intents and purposes, it's a 2-year program because you move through 2 academic years. You can see the first year has 3 semesters associated with it, and the second year has 2 semesters. The first year you start, this picture shows a fall start, and we start with an orientation, which is 2 weeks, and that's really designed to get you to meet your fellow MBA students, to get oriented to VIU, to understand the systems and build some community, and give you some time to get acquainted with Nanaimo when we're back here. And then it slowly builds into some foundations and some coursework. And that continues through 3 additional semesters: the spring semester, the intersession semester, and then the fall semester of year 2. You can see in between the semesters, there are 2-week breaks at the beginning or 3-week breaks. And as well as those breaks between the semesters, there are 1-week breaks that happen in mid-semester. So the intention is to have some intense integrated courses that build on each other for 5 or 7 weeks, and then have a break of a week to let your brain rest, let yourself integrate some of the material that you've learned, and then come back into another module of learning. The 5th and final semester that happens in year 2 consists of 2 courses, which are really not in the classroom. One course is the applied business project, and the other course is the internship. And Golfer explained that the internship is when you're going to go out there, you will find a company, you'll pitch to that company and win yourself an opportunity to join them as an employee for 16 weeks. And then the applied business project is where you'll do a piece of work of applied research, looking at how can you investigate, do some applied inquiry, and apply the skills and knowledge that you've learned in the MBA into a final overall report. Next slide.
Thank you, Stacy. So the MBA program, we've got 2 intakes. We've got one in the fall semester, which is the September, and the second is in the spring semester in January. And we've got the application period right now. So for the September 2021, applications are currently open from now till March 31st, 2021. And for the January 2022 start date, applications are open up till June 30th, 2021. So upon successful completion of the program, 90% of our graduates are currently working full-time within 4 to 8 months, and they work in diverse industries. And some of the career possibilities are financial advisor, project manager, digital business strategist, HR advisor, entrepreneur, business administrator. And with the MBA program, there are no GMATs required, and anyone that has a bachelor degree can apply into the program. Next slide, please.
So you're probably wondering, how do I get into this amazing program? And what are the requirements? Well, foundation, because it is a graduate degree, you do need to have an undergraduate bachelor degree. And in that bachelor degree, you need to have an average of a B in the last 2 years or 60 credits. You need to submit your transcripts and a letter of introduction explaining how the MBA will contribute to your career plans. We also ask you to submit a resume and a couple letters of recommendation for people that can speak to your experience and basically recommend you for the program. The other major requirement for us is a minimum of a year's work experience. And this work experience can be in a solid year, or if you've had a number of engagements that are smaller, if they add up to a year, and that includes internships or part-time work. We can do the calculation to figure out if you've got enough work experience to get into the program. The reason for that is because when you're in the classroom, the conversations that happen between you and your peers are really a big part of the learning that happens in the MBA. And so if you're coming in with only school experience and no work experience, it's really hard for certain conversations or concepts to land in a meaningful way. As we've already mentioned, there's no GMAT for the VIU MBA, and there are a number of English language requirements that are consistent across all VIU programs. Basically, you need to have a score on the TOEFL of 7 average and no band below 6.5, I believe.
Those would be the IELTS scores.
Sorry, IELTS.
That's okay. IELTS 7.0, no band below 6.5. That's correct.
Good up till then, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was fine.
Okay, and that's it for the admission requirements. We've got one more slide if you can.
And some of you may be wondering, what if I don't meet the admission requirement, right? So you've got different program pathway option. So if you've got like a business degree and your qualification is not high enough for the MBA, you have the option to apply for the graduate diplomas in project management or international trade. So those are 1-year graduate diplomas. So after the 1 year, you can proceed to do the MBA. And if you have a non-business degree and you still do not meet the requirements, you can do the graduate certificate in business management. So that's also 1 year. So that would prepare you with the foundational concept and things you need to prepare for the MBA. And for the red seal, you don't have to worry about that. That's mostly for domestic students. So it's either you do the GDs, that the graduate diploma in international trade or project management, and proceed to the MBA, or the GCIB and proceed to the MBA. So you've got those options. And the good thing about the GDIT, which is the Graduate Diploma in International Trade, you've got some designation whereby you can do the Forum for International Trade Accreditation Program after the program. So you have that option as well. And the GDPM as well also prepares you for the Industry Project Management Institute exam. So after the course, you can also write the exam if that's what you want to do. So these are like different options for you. If you really want, like if you don't meet the requirement, you can still do this to get into the MBA. Thank you.
So one of the things, we can talk as much as we like because we love the program, but what's most interesting to you is probably the stories that we have from our alumni. And so I canvassed our work integrated learning faculty, the faculty that work with MBA students in their internship and often connect with them once they've left the program to have them come back and be guest speakers, as well as faculty who have connections with alumni, and ask them, you know, what kind of industries are alumni working in, and what are they doing? And they mentioned that they're really working the broad range, and that's the intention of the MBA degree, is to take you, regardless of your background, to give you the foundation in management skills and knowledge so that you can really leverage that in across any industry that appeals to you. There's two stories there. One, Albert, who moved to Toronto to do an entrepreneurial internship in the healthcare field, and he ended up building his own business, wrote a book about healthcare in Canada, and so that's one example at an alumni or a student moving out of Nanaimo. Then we had Amika did his internship right in Nanaimo in financial advising, and similarly, he's built a local business and has been nominated as one of the top 20 under 40 here in Nanaimo. So the bottom line is that with an MBA from VIU, it's not really what's possible, it's all possible. The question is, what do you want to do? Because everything we see from our alumni says that coming to VIU helps to make that happen. Back to you, Leanne.
Thank you very much for that information. So we do have some students and alumni here with us today, actually, very fortunate for that. And they would like to tell you a little bit about their stories of coming to VIU and then what they've been doing since, if they've graduated already. To lead the panel, I'd like to introduce Mr. Brian Lynn. He is a 2021 MBA candidate at VIU, and he's also doing his MBA internship with the Faculty of Management. Brian?
Hey, thank you, Leanne, and hi, good day, everybody. It's really a pleasure to join this panel and this particular webinar. And then, of course, just wanted to echo again, for those who might have missed out, we have a continuous series going on. In fact, last week we had the graduate certificate in business and the graduate certificate in international trade, and also when it comes to project management. For those of you who might be interested, we also have that you can follow through. But I'm sure tonight the focus we'll be looking at we're looking at the MBA program. Some of you might be wondering how does really the life of an MBA student really look like, and also its careers path. And so, as Leanne mentioned earlier, we're very fortunate tonight to have the three students and also alumni with us tonight. So we're going to start up with Mr. Matheus Monto, or Matt, better known as Matt. He's actually a graduate in 2019. So we're happy that he's here with us today. So we'll ask him to share a little bit of his experience and what are some of the very interesting things or experience that he has gone through while doing the MBA. So welcome, Matheus.
Thank you, Brian. Very happy to be here with you all. And just a little bit of more introduction about myself. So as Brian mentioned, that I graduated in 2019. And before that, I've been working in the hotel industry, so in the hospitality sector. So I've been working with hotel chains, and up to a point that I was a supervisor, and I need to level up my game because I wanted to learn more about managing business, because it's not only about operational wise, it's also about managing the finances, managing marketing. So that's why I was looking for an MBA, because in the future I would really love to have my own business. So that's what got me started in investigating which MBA program to go for. So upon all of the options, one of the reasons why I choose VIU, and it deemed to be very true, is because in VIU, it's a very conducive learning environment. And it has a beautiful nature. So in the same time, you can relax and you can focus and complete your studies while you're crunching those numbers, those finance, while my background was from the operation side. So that really helped me. And also it has exposed me to very diverse culture. And I have friends now from Vietnam, from China, even from Ottawa, from Peru, from Singapore. And it's just a very fun class. But as Dr. Chappell has explained before, those people has experience. So you're not only talking with international students, but you are talking with people who had experiences in their own respective field. So that's what got me into VIU, and I loved it so much. So and then after VIU, I learned about myself more, and I learned that, oh, I have my strength in the marketing side. So let me explore that. And I was very fortunate to join the team at VIU to be part of the marketing intern in the Faculty of International Education. And that got the ball rolling. So now I am the sales and marketing assistant in a hotel in Vancouver. And what I love about VIU, another point, there's a lot of things that I love, but this is one critical point that I really, really appreciate about VIU. It didn't only provide me the tools to find a job, but tool to keep my job and to explore and to grow. Because in other universities, you can learn about SWOTs, and everybody knows about SWOT tool, but how to use SWOT? And is it only one way? So I was very fortunate enough to really implement that in marketing plans. And even when I was as an intern at VIU, I got this opportunity to really be involved in a business project. That was my ABP, and to explore what other opportunities can VIU do to grow the business. So yeah, it was a very fun ride, both studying and being an intern at VIU.
Well, there you go. And thank you, Matt. I think that's a very fantastic experience that you have just shared. And that came lively just now from our very own graduate, Matt. And so thank you again, Matt. I just wanted to reinforce the fact that, again, you mentioned a very critical point there. At the end of the day, there are many institutions right out there that also offer MBA, but at VIU, the distinction is really, it guides you to be able to be very practical, and you really know how to hone in on the skill set that you're really looking at. And so for that, thank you for sharing that, Matt. That's fantastic. So we're gonna ask now, moving to Ms. Tinley Tradu. She's actually also a graduate as well of our very own, just very this year, actually, 2020. So just fresh out of the,
Yep.
So I'm sure there's a lot of fantastic sharing that will be coming out of Tinley. So we'll now pass on the sharing for her. So welcome, Tinley.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, everyone. So as Brian mentioned, my name is Tinley Dradul, and I'm originally from Bhutan. Yeah, I graduated early this year in February, so it hasn't been much since I graduated and left the campus, but I'm still here in Nanaimo. So I had, I have a bachelor's in math from the University of Massachusetts, and I worked in a furniture importing company after that. And then I wasn't enjoying my job as much, so I decided to intern for a nonprofit organization there. That's where I discovered that I am really interested in the nonprofit sector. So then I moved back home to Bhutan. I just tried to study which field I really wanted to go into, and I interned there as well at Save the Children, and I researched for them for about 4 months. And that confirmed that I really wanted this sector. So then I looked up options to do my master's, and I figured that MBA wouldn't go wrong since I can enter any sector after that. That's how I decided to look for a master's degree in business administration, and I was looking at Canada specifically. And then I narrowed down to the West Coast because of the weather, obviously. And then I discovered VIU. It was the perfect size on an island. That's all I wanted, by the ocean and the warmer weather. So I decided to apply to VIU, and fortunately I got in. During my experience, during my whole time in VIU, I met a lot of really good friends. I actually wouldn't have participated in such a webinar before I got into VIU. All the presentations we had in the classes, that actually builded all my confidence. And here I am now participating in a webinar. And also I met some really great professors with such great experiences. As some of the speakers before me mentioned, I did my internship as well, and I did my ABP as well. So during that time, I chose one of the professors, if I name her Professor Dr. Bonita. So she was actually my supervisor. And one thing I would never forget is I was having such a hard time finishing up my ABP, and she actually called me. She actually called me on my personal number and actually comforted me and helped me get through that. So I will never forget that. She has left a really good impression on me. What other things did I do? Oh, I actually had a part-time job on campus. That really helped as well. I got some tips from our alumni who I was talking to because I worked as a student caller. So they actually helped me prepare for my internship. I was getting paid to do the job, and I was getting advice from alumni. So there are so many opportunities on campus. It's just that you have to go look for the right one that would fit you. And then my internship coordinator was actually the one who introduced me to my mentor. He actually introduced me to one of the deputy directors at the nonprofit organization that I work for, which is NACL, Nanaimo Association for Community Living. We serve people with developmental disabilities, so it's a great organization, and I was really happy that my internship mentor, John, introduced me to my mentor there. I got my internship there. I was happy with my internship, and fortunately there was an opportunity that just sprung out of nowhere at the organization. And I just hopped onto the boat and applied there. And I fortunately got the job. So I'm still with them. So that would be about
Wow.
all the
Thank
experience.
I guess everybody must be like, wow, that's so amazing. Can I be, can I join? Can I be one of them? I really just wanted to underscore that, and we're gonna come to management. I see that big smile there already. So I personally also, the reason why I end up choosing VIU among many others is really because of the West Coast, the weather in particular. And especially being on the island, I've seen so many great feedback, the comments about VIU. And one particular distinction you also mentioned, Tim, is the fact that the MBA program is structured in such a way that it's you have basically small classes or small cohorts. So you get to know each other very closely, very warmly. In fact, the professors literally, I don't know how many institutions actually work like VIU, but these professors actually remember your name. And literally, to my knowledge, all the professors actually remember, so long as you have been attending classes, I must say that's the basis, right? So actually, the professor remembers you, and the professor always the extra miles to be able to give you that extra hand and support to guide you every step of the way. And so that is really the distinction of VIU. So thank you for that, Tinley. And
No problem.
and if you all will allow me, we're gonna run a very quick short poll, just for about 2 minutes. If you all can please, the students, just give us your feedback in 2 questions, and then we're gonna come back to the big smile Majavin shortly. So apparently, from what I'm seeing here, most people or the students are saying they will be able to make a decision within 3 months, which is great. And we have very dedicated and knowledgeable advisor and recruiter who will be reaching out to you and to ensure that we provide you with very personalized and knowledgeable guidance to ensure that you will be able to become enrolled at VIU very smoothly. And everybody seems to be very, but in fact, this is proven here. Everybody's very interested to find out about career opportunities after graduation. So again, this for the, on this particular point, what you can also be sure to count on is the fact that we actually, in fact, as the alumni and have earlier mentioned, and also our associate dean, Dr. Stacey Chappell, and also Gopher, they have also mentioned, we actually have a dedicated team of advisor, or I look at them as mentor. Basically, they will guide you through the internship process. Prior to the internship, these mentors will guide you how to structure yourself to be able to better market yourself so that at the end of or closer to your graduation time, you'll be able to successfully locate and actually become employed at an institution of your choice. So that's where we are. And so I'll ask Ms. Majabin Ashraf. She's actually my colleague here in the classroom, always with a big smile. I'm so happy to see her tonight. So welcome, Majabin.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I guess a lot of the things that I wanted to mention has been mentioned already, thanks to you guys, actually, because my reason of attending, by the way, my name is Majibin Ashraf, and you can address me, I always say, as M, like the letter, because it's easier for you guys. And I'm from Bangladesh, and I will officially finish my MBA in just a few months next year in January 2021. And so I'm currently, I was in class with Brian, and yeah, it's like you get to meet, just as how Matt mentioned, you get to meet or make friends from everywhere, and they have like a wide spectrum of experiences, so you get to learn a lot. I got to learn a lot from Brian, actually. Every time I had a question, anything, you have to actually, just as how Stacy mentioned, you have to communicate with your peers in such a course, just as how you would do in a professional environment. So we actually did that. And so right now, currently, I am doing my internship, and it is at a nonprofit organization called Cowichan Green Community. It is in Duncan, but thankfully, according to the pandemic rules that have been applied, we are working from home. VIU made sure of that, and we are socially distanced, and we are in a safe environment working from home. And I am grateful for that. I am very fortunate that I got to be accepted in the program. As Brian was mentioning, we each section has their own internship coordinator at VIU, and they will help you throughout every step. So I can tell you right now from my very current experience, I just submitted yesterday one of my reflections for my internship. So every step of the way, I am in contact with my internship coordinator, and she's been helping me throughout. She asks me, it's not just if I have an issue, it's just to be able to talk to someone, even if it's a good thing or a bad thing, just to be able to talk to someone about what's happening and somebody overlooking it and helping you throughout, it really helps. It's a even if you may think that you don't need that support, it really goes a long way, that support. And VIU internship coordinators, they will make sure they do that. Trust me. And yeah, and they are every 2 weeks or so, I am in contact with my internship coordinator. And the key factor that contributed to my decision of selecting MBA at VIU was, again, I know it's reiterative right now because it's the location. How can you beat the weather, the location? Having come from a South Asian country, this weather, I will say, is nice. Even though winter, it's honestly, I will never complain about watching snowfall. It's cold, but hey, you can always layer up and watch the magical snow. So it only lasts a week, so you're good to go that way. And it's the scenic beauty. It wasn't just the scenic beauty, it was also the factor that Brian mentioned, the class size. So the class size played a big role in my decision because I didn't want to, where I did my undergraduate studies at back home, it was a big classroom, and not being able to interact with your professors, with your faculty members, it plays a big role. So here, I was able to avail so many opportunities. I was able to be a part of CBEAR, which is another specific program that helps you do your ABP in your first semester for 2 semesters together. And it was quite the learning experience as we got to work with VIU, in fact, and I got to learn a lot about researching, how to data collection, how to interpret the data, how to actually write a proper research paper, and in the context of Canada, in fact. So it was quite the learning experience, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. Coming back to my internship again, I again got to avail a great opportunity to avail or be accepted at the MyTax funded internship. So there's a lot of opportunities that VIU will help you through, and this was through Career VIU, and all of these internship posts, that this was one of the posts that the internship coordinators, they've all put together, and it is funded. So even if it's a nonprofit organization, it is funded and we are looked after, I can assure you that. So, and the other, my campus life, I would say was a bit different in the sense that I lived at residence for 1 year. And I can totally give you a guarantee that if you're living on campus at the residence, I had a joke that you will always have something to do every time. Just even if you think you don't have the time to do something, go for it. It will make the world of a difference to help you focus later, because otherwise you get burnt out. I know how that is. So keeping that balance is super important. I know you'll hear that a lot, but it is one of the major factors to help you through it. So, and it's like a family at the end of the day at the residence. You will never go by a day without a known face. I still am in contact with my friends who moved away to their own home countries, and we send each other gifts. So it's like, it's really nice to have that community if you decide to live on residence. And in terms of the things just in Nanaimo, I'm a city girl my whole life until I came here. I didn't know I enjoyed hiking so much. You don't have to be a pro hiker or anything, is what I've realized. As long as I'm just, even if it's you walking around the place you live in Nanaimo, it's beautiful. You just, even the fall leaves and everything, I get mesmerized by them. I'm just like, I'll take a little walk around. You don't have to go to a far off destination to, really see nature. It's so beautiful around. Just take a walk and it will take your minds off a lot of things, and it'll help you. So it's the location that automatically helps you with the program, I'd say. So yeah, that's all from my part. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Benjamin, my good friend. And of course, I'm meeting new friends tonight as well. Thank you all. Well, I just wanted to underscore the very key point that you just mentioned, the term family. If you all allow me to summarize, at VIU, you will have a family that you can count on. And so that's really, I think that nicely summarized the testimonial and the success, and of course, the beautiful experience that you all can very much look forward to. So again, I just want to thank you all. And so thank you all alumni and Benjamin as well. So I look forward to also the upcoming new student, new family members to VIU. And so I'll pass it back to Ms. Lian.
Thank you, Brian. Thinley, Majabin, and Matt, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'd like to get to some questions now, and you're welcome to enter your questions into the Q&A box. We can also invite our students and alumni back if you have questions for them. So we'll get started here. Our first question is from Malika, who is in the Spring 21 batch. If the semester is online for us, can we continue working full-time in our native countries? Stacy, would you like to take that?
Well, I'm happy to give an answer, and then I'd like to hear from the students, because my sense is that particularly in the new program, in the first couple weeks, you probably, during the orientation and during the foundation, so for the first 4 weeks, you might be able to work full-time. But if you're in your home country, it'll be hard because you're going to have to balance catching up in the time zones here with people. But once the program is underway, so in the 5th week, when you're undertaking 5 courses, and they're condensed 4 courses, so it'll be more like your guys' semester C, current students. I don't think you have time. I mean, school is a full-time job, but what do you guys think as students? Did you work full-time? Did you work part-time?
Can I ask Miss Tinley? I think Tinley, you mentioned about you were working as well.
Yes, I did work part-time, but it was on campus. So I had the luxury of just running to work after class. And that would be for like 4 hours maximum. So that would be the time that I blow off my steam and not read or write a paper. But there were a few friends who did work part-time, but I'm not sure if there were anyone who worked full-time. It would be hard, definitely. There were times, even with the 4 hours part-time work, I was at the library late at night till like 3, 4, just pull my hair off sometimes. But then it all turns out well at the end.
And quite frankly, if I can add to also what Tinley and Dr. Stacey mentioned, unless considering the time zone difference, unless you actually, let's say you work during the day and study during the night, then literally you won't be resting. That can get you burned out, just to go back to what Majabin earlier mentioned, right, Majabin?
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to make sure you're setting yourself up for academic success. Our next question is from Kanav. Hi team, I'm a future student and start the MBA in spring 2021. We have so many S21 students joining us tonight. Welcome, we're so happy you're here.
You guys here.
Yeah.
Feel you guys here?
As it has been mentioned that the class size is limited, what will be the class size for the program in the spring start?
Yeah, so it really depends on the total number that come in. This semester, we've had 3 cohorts and they're around 22 in size. And that's partly because in an online class, you do want to have a slightly smaller, even smaller. Traditionally, the MBA sections can go anywhere from 22 to 30-ish.
And those are in each classroom, but there's a bigger cohort, so there are other students as well.
Right. So we've had, usually we have 3 sections.
Mm-hmm.
So this year we have in the fall start, we had 68 students start and divide those into 3 sections.
We have Nassar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing everyone's names correctly. I'm from Afghanistan, graduated from from BBA in the year 2019 from Central University of Afghanistan, and I'm interested to do my MBA in Canada. How much will be the cost I should pay in order to do my MBA at your university?
Golfer.
So that will be 48,000
Canadian dollars. So yeah, you can go to our currency converter and see what that is in what it amounts to in your home currency.
Mm-hmm.
Any other suggestions for Nassar, who's interested in applying? Should we talk about the application process a little bit, like what's required for a successful application? You went through the requirements earlier. One thing that I always like to, as you know, I always like to raise in when we're talking to prospective students is the importance of the letter of intent. Would you like to talk about that a little bit and how you can increase your chances with how you write your letter?
Yeah, the letter of intent is actually really important, and it's the one thing that the admissions committee looks at quite closely. So we have admissions officers who go through your application, and you either do or don't meet the criteria in terms of 1-year work experience, your GPA, having the letters of recommendation and all that. They'll look at that, and if someone just misses the bar on one of those, like maybe your GPA is just a little low, but you've got amazing work experience, they might pass you on to us. And it's the letter of recommendation, or your letter of intent, that really helps us make that decision. And so the number one thing I cannot stress enough is that letter has to be in your own voice. As academics, we get very good at noticing when writing style and voice changes. And when the one thing you don't want to do is plagiarize or copy and paste from anyone else, or take text that someone else has written. You can be inspired by other people, that's fine. But the number one thing you need to do is there's sort of 3 questions. One is, tell us a little bit about who you are. So that should be your own voice. The second thing is, why do you want to do an MBA? Like, what is it? What are you hoping for? And why do you want to do it at VIU? And I think there's no wrong answer there. So if you speak from your heart, from your authentic self in your own voice, that's just so important. So those 2 things, make sure it's your words and answer those 3 questions. We've had letters of intent that are amazing and they're just 1 page long, and I've had letters of intent that are, you know, longer than that and are amazing, and we've had ones that are short or long and they're just not good. So it's about you writing from your heart and answering the 3 questions we've asked.
Thank you, Stacy. Another part of the requirements that we often receive questions about is the work experience. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's not negotiable, really. I've had students come in and beg me to let them, well, this was a domestic student, beg me to let them in because they were such a good student, but they just didn't have the work experience. And we just, that student actually started this fall because I said, no, you've got to go and get some more work experience. And it just makes such a difference to the value that you'll get out of the classes and the value that you contribute to the classes to your peers.
So you do need 1 year of work experience, but you can get that in a part-time position,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So,
Well, yeah, if it's part-time, it needs to add up, right? Like, so if it's 50%, then you would need to be working for 2 years at 50%. Yeah.
okay, thank you. We had a question earlier in the chat about if students come here and have to do the quarantine, whether they can quarantine with other people or whether they have to be on their own.
Yeah, so again, if you are joining us in September, then you got an email from me today, because today the Government of Canada, we were waiting for today to find out from the Government of Canada just to confirm that VIU we have been a designated learning institution, and today they re-released the list and we remained on there, and we're really proud of that because not all institutions are. And so we're in the process. We really do want to start to bring students back into Canada, and we're not sure how much of the program will be delivered face-to-face, but we know at least we can get you into Canada now. So we're just working through those processes, and when we get a handle on whether or not the number of people that are in a position to travel, we'll start to work out those logistics. But as I said in the response, the residence rooms are designed to have one person in a room, and that's the plan that we submitted to the Government of Canada, and that's what they've approved us as a designated learning institution. And so, you know, as I said, the cost is around $50 to $60 a day, and that includes your food and your accommodation, and so it would be one person for that rate.
Very affordable. And also, because the Faculty of International Education has put the plan together, we do take into account the isolation that people may experience during the 2 weeks of quarantine. And so there will be mental health supports and ways to connect with the community from within your residence room.
Yeah, like Golfer and I will be there. We'll do a little welcome session, right? We can maybe play checkers or something. We'll definitely, yeah, we want you to be fighting fit and doing well. So if that's the concern, there's definitely support around that.
We have a question from Malika. Will working full-time impact the work permit in any way? So this is actually a question where we're crossing the line into immigration advice, and we don't have anyone here who is qualified by the RRCC in order to provide that. So unfortunately, I can't give you a definitive answer on that. We do have immigration advisors who are available to students after acceptance. If you haven't yet applied, then I would reach out to someone in your home country and get some advice on that. From Cindy. Hi, I'm joining MBA January 2021 as well. Welcome, Cindy. Good to have you here. I also would like to know if classes are going to be online or not, since my visa hasn't been done.
So again, we anticipate that we'll have 3 sections, and I'm in the process of writing that proposal to the president and the senior management of VIU. I know that we will have one of those sections that is 100% online, because we know that not all students will be able to get to Canada by the time the semester starts. I think we'll have one section that is face-to-face and one section that is hybrid. So some face-to-face and some virtual. So if you can't get into Canada by the start of the semester, that's okay. You'll still be fine. You'll be able to take online courses. And we anticipate that we might not be able to get everybody in by the start of the semester. So some of them might travel on that 1 week break in mid-semester, and maybe others in the break in between semesters. So we're going to try to be as maximally flexible and accommodate as many people as we can. I would imagine there'll be some version of hybrid learning for a while. So having the MBA is, because it's a cohort program and all the students would be traveling together and not mixing between classes, it's a program that VIU can start to develop our capacity to do face-to-face in a safe way. As the students online will notice that that's a real value for us, is our community safety, and our students are part of that. And so we've all erred on the side of keeping people safe.
And also staying compliant with the health requirements in British Columbia and Canada, and meeting or exceeding those standards in the interest of everyone's safety.
Yeah.
And relatively speaking, Vancouver Island is doing quite well with COVID compared to many other places around the world. So I think that it has been a good investment for us to keep those standards fairly close, fairly tight. Brian, could I ask you to pop on for a minute and just talk about, you had the opportunity to study in the classroom, and then COVID happened partway through your studies. Could you talk about your experience that you've had with the online courses?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Leanne. Well, interestingly, initially, and I'm not sure if Majabin feel the same. Initially, we were thinking, wow, we don't have to go to classes anymore. Only to find out, wow, learning through the screen, so to speak, is actually a whole different experience. I must say the distinction of doing it online through VIU, I must say again, is because of the fact that we have small class structure. We have been able to basically on a one-on-one basis very frequently with dealing with and trying to seek guidance from each of the professors. So I actually personally didn't come across any issues, and I found it was rather quite a smooth transition in a sense. But of course, I must say, if there's ever a chance that I'm able to choose, but obviously pandemic, we didn't have an option. I still do enjoy the fact that when I'm actually in a traditional class, I had that opportunity to really network with my friend, my classmate, and I'm sure my other friends here, Tinley, Matt, and Majabin will feel the same. That's actually how we build a friendship closer that way, right? I'm not sure if anyone would like to echo on that.
Yeah, if I can add to what Brian said, we got a 50-50, bit of both. We'd say we saw the transition, and the transition was surprisingly smoother given the context of the whole lockdown and everything that we went through, the whole world went through. And I would say the one tiny advantage we had, or even you guys will have, because it is, as Stacy mentioned, if it is hybrid, you get the other 50 that you get to sometimes, if you're in your own little MBA bubble, and we were always in our own little MBA bubble pre-pandemic even, because we had our own little building, and it's all MBA students, what we're going through. So it's, even if it's a different, previous year students or previous semester students or students that came in later, we were in our own little bubble. And so we already knew, you can tell who's who. So we knew each other. We already had that rapport built up. And then when we shifted online, it was, yes, a big difference was that we couldn't meet up to do group discussions anymore, but we knew, who to go to for help, or we knew, okay, so maybe that person, like with Brian, Brian will know something finance related, or me, okay, I'll probably maybe I got the answer to something else, or maybe I heard something that others didn't. So we were able to help each other. So it's just easier to build that and have a separate even section groups where you communicate with each other. Even in on-campus life, even if you're quarantining and isolated, you're not really isolated, because I saw the transition from normal dorm life to now pandemic dorm life. There were many changes, but I was surprised at how communicative they were. I still follow the social media of residents. I can't seem to leave that bubble, even though I moved out 2 months ago, but they seem to still keep in touch, and they have their ways of still communicating, or meeting each other but socially distanced. And it's a big area. The dorms are beautiful, by the way, and they're where it's atop the hill. It's beautiful, the views from the rooms, and you love it, but it's the people that are surrounding it. Yeah.
That's one thing that we hadn't really talked about too much in this session is the panoramic views of the ocean that you get from all over campus. It's a very tranquil study setting.
Actually, I had my own secret little spots at the library. I
Fifth
didn't
floor?
want anybody else to take over. I would just, if I could just reserve it for life, I would have. But yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. Matt, did you have something to add that you'd like to add there too?
Yeah. So the beauty of the campus as well is
Oh, Matt's just freezing up there a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Could you repeat?
So what I love about Faculty of International Education is its own faculty. So there's amazing Simon with his cultural connection. And even though it's a lockdown, he still cooks and do like an amazing show on international food. So I am an alumni and I am part of it. So it's still a family, even though it's far from Vancouver. And he is still connecting people from around the world who are on campus at the moment. So Faculty of International Education is doing an amazing job. And also Leanne touched base on they do have their own immigration consultants. So don't worry, like if you're feeling homesick, like you can go to international education and like, hey, is there, so I'm from Indonesia originally. That was the first thing I did on my first semester, I have to admit, like, is there any Indonesian students here on campus? And so like we connected, there's only 11 students like for the whole campus. And that started a chain. So now I'm connected with the current students on campus who are from Indonesia as well. So it's not only for MBA exclusive, but also you will be connected with a lot of people, even people who are in the residence at the moment. So.
Thank you, Matt. We're almost at time here, and there are a few more questions that are here. If I could ask Ami in the background, if you could share your screen, please, and go to the COVID information page. We have a couple of questions on visa application process. And while I can't provide advice because I'm not certified by the IRCC, we do have some very precise information on our website regarding our most up-to-date information on travel policies and study permits. So please go to this page and read through the information and become familiar with it, and we'll be updating it regularly. One question that I can answer from Kanav is it mandatory to quarantine in campus only, or can we quarantine anyone in Canada before joining campus? So as a designated learning institution, we were required to develop a quarantine policy. And according to that, students who are able to make travel plans to come to Canada would have to follow our quarantine process, and that means flying directly through into Nanaimo, and yes, doing your quarantine in our residences or with the other arrangements that we provide. Thank you, Ami. We have a question from Favor. Is there still a dual degree with University of Hertfordshire? Would you like to answer that, Stacey?
I'll let Golfer, since we haven't heard from her.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we no longer have the dual degree with University of Hertfordshire. So our partnership has ended with the University of Hertfordshire. So with the redesigned MBA, you get just one degree.
Thank you. So I think that comes to the end of our questions. There were two questions again that I didn't respond to directly, and that's because of the information that is required by our IRCC. We're required to be immigration specialists in order to respond to those, but do go to our website and you'll find some answers there. And also once you apply, you'll receive a lot of information from our admissions team. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you have further questions, please email us at worldviu@viu.ca. If you're already accepted to the MBA, which I hear a few of you are, you can send your questions to masters@viu.ca. And also join us on social media. We're at WorldVIU on all the major platforms. I'd like to thank all of our panelists, Stacy, Golfer, our students, Brian, Majabin, Matt, and Thinley. Thank you so much. And a special nod to our digital marketing specialist, Ami Robinson, who's been helping us in the background. Thank you very much. We hope to hear from you soon, and we hope to see you on campus on Vancouver Island University very soon. Have a good evening. Have a good morning.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Leanne.
Bye, everyone.